I don't know a whole lot of Kinyarwanda, that's just my very limited amount. Maraho is hello. Amakurdo is how are you? Nimeza is I'm fine. So it is indeed a pleasure this morning to get up and talk a little bit about our trip. There's 10 of us, the team from Newfoundland, and we were a team from long before we went until we came back, and we're still a team. Traveled to Rwanda 1st of November. We were on the ground for 2 weeks. For some of us it was the first time, for some it was second, and for some of us it was our third time. And it was just awesome to see the changes and to work with everybody. And it was just an amazing, amazing time. There's 9 of us here this morning, and we each are going to just tell a little experience that we had. For some of us, that's a struggle because we're kind of nervous and shy and don't like to speak. For some of us, it's a struggle to just cut it down to 2 or 3 minutes. But we just want to share our experiences with everybody. Our affiliation, I should say, probably with Shelter Them began in 2008 when David and I, we heard about Shelter Them, we heard about the girls, Jocelyn and Josephine, on 100 Public Street. A lot of you have heard the story before. And in 2009, they came to Newfoundland. 2009, right, for the first time, David?
2008.
Oh, 8. Yes, 2008 it was. They came to Newfoundland for the first time. We brought them in, and they've been coming back every year since. And 2009 was our first trip to Rwanda. So we've been involved with them for a long time, but not only just a few people, our whole area has come on board. And so, you know, we have to share because it's not just 1 or 2 or 3 of us. Everybody has become a part, and everybody has connected. And I just think that God has put them in our paths for a reason, and I just thank Him for that. And just saying, you know, you are awesome in this place, mighty God, and He indeed is an awesome God. And to give us the opportunity that we had to go to Rwanda, some people think that, oh, what do you do that for? All that money, that expense, because we pay our own way. Maybe, why didn't you just send it over there? You're just wasting money. But you have to go, right, Daphne? You have to go and see for yourself. And it's not a waste of money, and it's just awesome. But it requires for people to go, and Jesse used to talk about this for years, suffering, sacrifice, and service. We just don't, you know, we all had to, for suffering, sacrifice, and service to go. But for us, it was the biggest blessing in the world. Vic is going to put some pictures up for us now, and we're each going to talk just a couple of minutes. Again, like I said, for me, that's really difficult. Some of you have seen this first picture before, and I talked about this young man quite often in church, and his name is John Cobb. And that's Diane there with me in 2009 on our first trip. And that's how we met him. He had an injured leg, and he was a street child. He was 12 at the time. He was on the street since he was 9 years old. And he was on the street then. And when you have an injury like that and you live on the streets, your chances of survival are not very good. And people would tell him he was going to lose his leg, and he could possibly have, if we hadn't come along at that time. But anyway, at that time, we were there, and at that time and place, we met him at the feeding program, and we helped him, took him to the clinic, and got some treatment for him. And at that time, the Shelter Them organization was under the mandate to help orphans. But John Codd was not an orphan. He lived on the streets, but he had a mom and dad way out in the country who were so poor that they just couldn't support their family. So at 9 years old, he left his home in the country, and he went to the streets of the city of Kigali and to earn money. And he worked 3 jobs. He did whatever he could to earn some money to send back to his parents in the country. And he told us he used to make about $30 a year, and he'd send a good part of that back to the country, to his parents. We have a picture over here now of his parents, and he just, since we came back from Rwanda, we left some money with him this time to go and visit his parents. And that is his mom and dad. You can see the similarities, and they're still living in such extreme poverty. John Claude came into the Shelter Them program in 2012. He wasn't able to come in 2009, like I told you, it was only orphans. And in 2012, when we visited again, he found us, he sought us out, and he said, I want to be a part of Shelter Them. And in 2009, he wanted to go to school. And even though he wasn't part of the Shelter Them, we allowed him to go to school. We paid his school fees, and he went to school. His first year in school, I'm going to be over my time, and I'm sorry. His first year in school was 2009. So he started, we'll say, kindergarten in 2009. And in 2012, he showed me his report card, and he was first in his class. And he did. We changed the mandate in 2012 to orphan and vulnerable children. So he came into our program. And then in 2013, he earned a scholarship to go to high school. So I tell you, in a short time, he's come a long way. And now he's in high school, and he has big dreams and big hopes. He wants to be a pilot, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will. But he still has his parents back in the country that he so loves and he wishes he could help. And there's another picture up there, Vic, that I have of people we met in 2009. And this is Venencia, and she has AIDS. And this is her niece, Angelique. And Venencia has been raising Angelique since her sister died. Her sister died of AIDS. That was her sister's child, so she took Angelique. And she's not very well, and of course, to work, she washes clothes, takes in clothes to wash clothes, but with her AIDS and stuff, sometimes she's sick. So she lives in extreme poverty. And we met her in 2009 because she was at the guest house where we were washing clothes. And so we blessed her at that time. And in 2012, we had an opportunity to meet her again. Her conditions hadn't changed very much. Unlike John Claude, she was probably in the same situation. But we did bless her and help her a little bit. And again in 2014 when we came, this is her there, we met her again. And so she's been in our lives for all this time, and God has put her in our paths. And, you know, even though Angelique and Venencia are not part of our program, we had a heart for them. And so a lot of people before they went raised money, and we raised a lot of money, and we wanted to help Angelique and Venencia as well. And it was really on our hearts. So we left a message with Jules, he runs the Rwanda program, and he had never met Angelique and Venencia, and he'd never seen their home. So for Jules, I don't think it was a priority. But anyway, we wanted something done. So we didn't think we were getting much headway, so we just messaged Jules one day, a few days ago, and he said, and this is a message we sent him on Facebook. I have a heart for certain people God has placed in my path. This is David wrote this message. And I know you can relate to this because of your heart for Mama Pacific. And I won't get into that story. I know there are thousands of people in poverty in Rwanda, but a friend of mine said this is a comment he uses, and Reverend Jesse, you know this. These are my poor. God has put them in my path. God has put somebody in each and every one of your path. Some people will say, okay, you guys there, you help the poor, you look after them. But no, they're your poor. They're your people God has put in your path. Well, Vanessa and Angelique and John Todd, he put in our path. And so we really felt a burden for them. And this has been confirmed to me by many stories I have heard from Mama Jo and lot of you here heard Mama Jo when she was here in January. And anybody God puts in her path, she helps them. And my heart just can't let this rest. This is what we want. It was wonderful. I was just wondering if you still had your to-do list, because we left them a to-do list when we left, to check in on Valencia and Angelique as well. And this was his response. Your message found me in the middle of running errands for Shelter Them homes. Immediately my heart told me to visit Valencia and Angelique on my way back. It was my first time visiting their home. Because I know your heart, I can feel your feelings, and I hope we have this in common. Currently we have 3 moms with AIDS, Valencia, Mama Pacifique, and Mama John Claude. And there's several John Claudes in the program, so I don't want to confuse you. All of these ladies really need to be rescued. You can discuss it at your end on the Canada team and see if you can include them in the Shelter Them program as soon as possible so we can start searching for homes and taking care of their basic needs. I assured Valencia we would look for a better home because it is leaking. I will use the excess money you gave us. We left money there with them. And for your boy, John Claude, surely we are going to work in his home. And we're working on a Christmas miracle right now, and I think I'm going to leave that for David because I went way over time for John Claude. But I just wanted to say that God puts people in our paths. He puts people in our path in Rwanda. He puts people in our path here in Newfoundland. And he puts them in our path for a reason. But it's up to us if we're obedient, we obey them or not. We can say, they don't deserve my attention, somebody else will do it, or we can say, okay, God put them in my path, I'll do what I can. We used to, the team in Rwanda were just like awesome volunteers, and there was 2 volunteers there used to come 3 or 4 times a week, Rogers and Yannick, and they used to play games with the kids. And one of the games they played, which taught them English and other things, was I have the ball. I have the ball. And they pass the ball to someone. I put it here, I put it here, I have the ball, I pass it to you. And that would teach them phrases. So right now, I'm going to pass the ball to Daphne Evelyn, and she's going to have a few words. Here, Daphne, you have the ball. You don't have to be as long as me. I took up 4 people's time, I think. Come over here and run the microphone.
I'm nervous. But my experience in Rwanda is heartwarming. This little boy, this time really took my heart. He's a little boy that was abused by his father and abandoned then by both his parents. He's only 6 years old. He's the same age as my grandson. But this was a day we went to Abigail Park, and he sat with me on the bus, and I was chewing gum, and he kept watching me. So I asked him if he wanted a piece of gum, and he took the gum. And he was chewing and chewing, and he'd be watching me blowing bubbles. And he turned his back to me, he knelt up on the seat and turned back, and he was chewing and chewing away. So I was talking to Bernice, and he patted me on the shoulder, and when I looked around, he had the bubble gum. I had the shape of my heart. And sitting on the bus, I had him on my knee, and I used to put my arms around him. And if I released my arms any bit at all, he'd take my arms and wrap them around him right tight, right? And then after a while, he was getting sleepy, and he was trying to lean up against the window in the bus. So I said, Irene, his name is, and I said, lay on my lap. I said, and have a nap. And before he laid on my lap, he looked at me, he said, can you take me home with you? It broke my heart. But he's such a loving, like all he wants is love. He's such a loving little boy. But I mean, I have my sponsored children too that I love and adore. Like all the children, how can you not love them? and like we had so many fun times with them. But he kind of got to me this time. Anyway, that's about it for me.
One more picture.
One more picture. That's
Yeah, that's
there
the
was
beginning,
the
yeah.
shirt on.
Suzanne?
Pardon me?
No, it's Newfoundland shirt.
That's a Newfoundland shirt,
Yeah.
yeah. But he is such a beautiful, loving little boy, 6 years old, you know.
And Gitete is his,
Tete, yeah.
Gitete is what the kids call
Oh, yeah.
his nickname, like that. Yeah.
So it's my job to, Cynthia, here's the ball.
Hi, I'm Cynthia, people that don't know me. And this is my first time to Africa, and it was an amazing trip. Well, you haven't got the picture up yet, but I'd advise anyone to go. It would change your life, never be the same. Well, this little boy, he was dropped off at the markets, and he just touched my heart. You could get a smile out of him, his smile would light up the room. If you just tickle him a little bit, he had such a laugh, it's unreal. And when we see him going around, and he had those shoes on, those shoes must be about that much too big on him. So we went and got a pair of shoes to put on him. And when we put them on, he wanted to put back his old ones. So it don't take much to make somebody happy, but even his own he was happy with that. And for me, I'd just like to ask everybody to